Hey guys, and welcome to Wild Theories by me, the Drunken Theorist, aka Aaron, formerly known as the artist into the Aaronverse. So, yeah, welcome to my first actual video. One that's not been sort of a trailer video, that hasn't been a live stream. One that's actually mine, my own content. I know, you've waited so long for this, so thank you for tuning in. Okay, so a little bit about this episode. One thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about what we know so far, so what the trailers have given us, what we know from past MCU, that kind of thing. So a little bits here and there. Then I'm also going to give my predictions sort of to what I think is going to happen, and just generally chat about sort of how the show's going to go. So what we know so far. This series is set in 2012. It's after the events of Endgame, but during the first Avengers film, after the Battle of New York. So this Loki is sort of looking around 2012. This is a Loki who hasn't experienced the events of Dark World or Ragnarok, sort of making a bit more of an immature, more spiteful version of Loki, one that we used to see. So it's not the one that we lost in Infinity War. So yeah, this is a Loki who's a bit more mischievous, is a bit more sort of deviant, sort of hasn't got that sort of relationship that he did with Thor, with the other Avengers, very much still against them, doesn't want to sort of join them, but wants to destroy them kind of thing. So this is going to be quite an interesting kind of Loki to see sort of try and do good along the timeline now. So yeah, one thing we saw was the split timelines on the TV screen, sort of indicating that these are different branches of time that have become an issue for the TVA. They don't want them getting too serious, so this is where Loki's going to be going back to try and fix those points. So yeah, as I said, Loki's going to be going back to various points in time, and probably forward in time to various points as well, along the different sort of alternate timelines of things that happened, things that he needs to create to happen in order for the timeline to be a sort of on that one level. One thing I don't think is going to happen, I don't think this is a multiverse story, so I don't think we're going to be seeing a multiverse Loki. This is a timeline, but within the same universe. If, again, as I've said before, you sort of always need a degree in physics to properly understand how Marvel are dealing with all this timeline stuff, all this multiverse stuff. It does start to get a little bit confusing. So yeah, one thing that we do know that we saw from the trailers is that we're going back to a version of Earth that seems to be where the Avengers lost the Battle of New York, where everything is sort of destroyed. It looks like the wildlife has tried to take back over again. And that Loki is actually president there. We see him in the trailers with the badge, obviously his little suit jacket on, which I'm so excited for that Funko Pop to arrive. It is going straight up on my shelves as soon as it does, as soon as the pre-orders are available for that. But yeah, one thing we saw in that trailer is that I think we'll be seeing two Lokis in that scene, because we have the present Loki that we see, and in the back, sort of the backdrop of that, there's another scene that cuts where Loki's wearing his variant jacket in the same sort of scene, which I don't think one that present Loki would do. So we could end up seeing a multiple timeline Loki. So two Lokis on the screen at one point, which, I mean, mind-blowing stuff as it is. Again, another thing that we've seen from the trailer is that he'll be present at the destruction of Pompeii. So whether that's something that Loki has caused, which, you mean, we could highly presume that Loki has some kind of influence on making a volcano erupt. Yeah, that's going to be really interesting to see how they deal with that, how they go around with the destruction of Pompeii, sort of how it will affect the timeline. Something that I'm really looking forward to seeing. Another thing that we see from the trailers is that he is actually the sort of mysterious DB Cooper. For those who don't know who DB Cooper is, he hijacked a plane back in November 1971 and have to stop off in, I believe, Seattle to collect $200,000, which is about 1.3 million if you include inflation over the years. So, you mean, quite a considerable amount of money. He jumped from a plane and was never seen again. So this Loki is one that sort of has a bit of influence sort of throughout the past. We also see Loki go off to another planet. It looks a little bit like Vormir. A lot of people are saying that it's Natasha. She's got the red hair, the way she's sat. For me, that really wouldn't make sense for him to go there. He didn't really know who Natasha was. He doesn't have that personal connection to her for him to actually go and find her. A lot of other people are saying that it is Lady Loki, which would then tie into a bit more about how in the trailer that dropped yesterday, sort of in the build up to Loki, how when it says about gender, it says that Loki's is fluid. We've got to understand that this isn't Marvel and DC being woke and sort of trying to do all this. Loki, throughout the timelines, literally has been different genders. He has been here, there, and everywhere. So, I mean, it's not an attack on any particular culture. I mean, it's not trying to be a wokeism. It is just the fact that Loki has been different genders throughout the years. Another thing that we've seen throughout the trailers is the Miss Minutes clock, who seems to be a sort of a mascot for the TVA, like a bit of a workplace sort of boost. But I believe that this clocks, this Miss Minutes, actually say a bit more of a darker side to the TVA, is something a bit of dark horse. Don't really understand that it's going to start to meddle. You mean it could be controlled by some outer kind of world kind of thing? Not Mephisto, before anyone asks. But you know, I mean, it could be something. We could see something maybe to do with Kang the Conqueror in there. There's so many different ways that could go down. But I do feel that Miss Minutes is going to be a deviant, someone who is sort of trying to undermine everything that the TVA are doing, even though she's working as a mascot for them. So we saw that obviously DB Cooper, as Loki plays DB Cooper, this obviously mysterious character. The clips from the trailer is that Loki was caught by the Bifrost after he jumped from the plane. We saw it. The Bifrost comes down. Money goes flying everywhere. So we did see the Bifrost. So I'm pretty certain that we're going to see at least Heimdall appear in this series, if not Asgard, if not potentially a bit of Odin, which would be really interesting to see Loki sort of deal with Asgard, deal with sort of everything that happened. Because understand that this is going to be. So we've got to understand that when the point where this Bifrost comes down, it is 1971. This is where DB Cooper obviously all took place. So this is way before the battles of New York. So it'd be quite interesting to see a Asgard that sort of 40 years previous to it, to see how the relationship is between Heimdall and Loki, between Asgard and Loki, and Odin and Loki. Sort of, we should get a really different dynamic should that appear sort of throughout this series. Another prediction of mine is that the character arc that Loki went on throughout the Dark World and through Ragnarok, where he sort of grew up a bit, got to understand himself, got to understand his relationship with his brother. I believe that we're going to see that character arc sort of mirrored throughout this series. Obviously done in a different way, so they won't go through the same things, but he'll grow up in the same way. He'll see things in time. Maybe he'll get glimpses of Ragnarok. Maybe he'll get glimpses of Thor: The Dark World. Things that he won't be physically go to, but things that he'll see. So it'd be really interesting to sort of see how they do that character arc. But I do believe that by the end of this Loki series, we're going to see him in a similar place to what we did at the end of Thor Ragnarok and at the start of Infinity War. So my main theory is sort of after Loki has gone through and developed himself and become this more sort of Infinity War level Loki, mature, sort of had that character arc, is that we will actually go back to the scene in Infinity War, with obviously the fight between Thanos and obviously we've got Thor there, we've got the Hulk, and Heimdall sort of all in this one place. I believe that Loki is going to go there, this variant Loki is going to go there and basically take the place of the main timeline Loki. And there's a point where he comes off screen, where the main timeline Loki comes off screen and then reappears, albeit a bit more cocky, and this is the point where he tries to attack Thanos and tries to end him, even though he knew full well that he couldn't beat Thanos with just a dagger. He knew that he wouldn't be able to beat him. So I believe that this was a foreshadowing from Marvel to go, this is an important scene that's going to happen, it's going to be important for this series later on down the line. Okay, so my main theory for this entire series is that the Loki we see in this series, the time variant Loki, is going to go to the future, to the events of Infinity War, and he is going to replace himself with the main timeline Loki. He's going to sacrifice himself, and he's going to be the one that kills Thanos. Like this, and so a little bit of evidence for that. So the evidence that we'll see here is that Loki gets handed a pair of daggers, which are then quickly taken away from him. These daggers appear multiple times throughout different trailers, and these are sort of really specific daggers. They've got the sort of wide edge, and they've got a little ridge in the top. It's really just quite a unique kind of dagger for Loki. So flash forward to the events of Infinity War, There's a moment where Loki goes off screen and then reappears. This is the moment I believe that he switches places with old timeline Loki. Now, if you look carefully, this is where the evidence gets interesting. The dagger that was used to try and stab Thanos, it looks almost identical to the same one. It could quite happen to be the same one. The fact that these daggers are brought up multiple times throughout the trailers really leads me to believe that this could be the plot of the series. So yeah, I believe that it's going to be a case of this variant Loki will take that place of the main timeline Loki to sacrifice himself for himself, which is a very Loki thing to do. You mean, to sacrifice himself for himself is a very selfish thing, but also selfless. So it would sort of still fit with the 2012 character, along with sort of fit that character arc. So yeah, I believe he does that because I believe that will be he puts the end to the variant Loki that obviously leads up before the events of Endgame, and sort of will allow the main timeline Loki to live and continue, just obviously maybe in a different way. So yeah, that's my predictions for the series. It's a series that I'm really looking forward to. Obviously, we've had WandaVision now, we've had Falcon and the Winter Soldier, both been incredible series and both set up things for the MCU later on down the line. One thing I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to be doing a reaction video to each episode. I know I'm committing myself a lot here to actually doing content, but this one that I'm going to be doing. So we will see each week I'll be breaking down each episode, giving my thoughts on it. It won't come out straight away. It'll probably come out either on the Thursday or the Friday, just to give me time to film it, to edit it, sort of get my thoughts into place. But yeah, so yeah, each week you'll have a breakdown of each episode, sort of my thoughts on it, what happened, and then a bit of a prediction what I think is going to happen in the next episode and sort of later on down the series, because most likely everything I predicted today won't happen because we know what I'm like for actual theories. So yeah, guys, thank you. This was the first episode in the Wild Theories series. This is something that I'm going to be doing regularly, sort of with every Marvel sort of film series that comes out. The next one will be with Black Widow, which obviously comes out in the middle of Loki being on air. So yeah, guys, thank you for watching this first episode in Wild Theories. Obviously, this is to do with the Loki series. This is one that this series will be continuing sort of with every sort of Marvel release, sort of from here going forward. I'll be talking about obviously things that I think are going to happen with every. Oh, fuck me! Give me a sec. So yeah, guys, thank you for watching. This has been Wild Theories. This is a series that, as I said before, we're going to be continuing. The next episode will be for the Black Widow film, which is coming out very soon. Obviously, it's coming out in the middle of the Loki series. So there may be potential that these two do interact. It's one that I think we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and make sure you check us out on Sunday, 8 p.m. UK time. I believe it's 3 p.m. sort of Eastern Standard Time. Maybe, I don't know, figure it out. But yeah, guys, thank you very much. Also, don't forget to watch the show on Thursday. We have myself and anyone but ours, Luke. We're going to be watching The Goonies. We're going to be doing a breakdown of that. Join us on the live stream, again, 8 p.m. this Thursday. Right, and thank you very much. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. See you soon.